Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Joshin-Strike Podcast. We've got the most handsomest person I know, which is me. No, it's you. It's Tom. We got Tom. Okay.
It is you, Josh.
No, it's
It
you,
is you,
mate.
mate.
No,
Don't worry about it.
No. James says
Don't
you're
worry
the
about it, man. It's fine.
James said you're the handsome one, mate. Like that's what he told me. Okay. Does Roffelco ever lie? I don't know.
Man, after he had that performance knocking us out of ECL, fuck it, man.
He did say he'll knock you out. Probably, he probably said that. He probably said in chat during a tech pause, "I will knock you out," and he did. Like,
He did. Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, man, what's been happening so far with you? You know, what have you been up to in particular? You know, in the CS scene, because obviously Deadweight, well, fell apart. So
Deadweight. Yeah. No, Deadweight died. Yeah, it was a weird sort of time with Deadweight.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we got so close to making ECL, like a few times.
Yep.
We had the first season at Open where we lost to Mantra in the grand final, and obviously they qualified VCL. Then the next season we lost to Art of War, and they qualified. And then ECL relegations, and then obviously we got knocked out by DXA in the final chance. So we were a bit of a meme that we had always come second.
Yeah.
And you know, it sort of got to a point where I think Sharky wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were sort of LF1, and then Havoc had a few things going on, so he was sort of wanting to wind down, and so we're sort of LF2. So we gave it a try.
Mm-hmm.
I took over the calling for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of considering whether to AWP IGL or just IGL.
Yeah.
And it was just so hard because my sort of mind, I like to be structured and sort of that sort of like I like to have a structured sort of setup.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to trial two people at the same time as trying to call around some sort of structure, it makes it hard. So we ended up just calling it a day after probably 2 weeks of trials, and went our separate ways because we thought, you know, the ECL season was coming up, and you know, whoever wants to go forward was just it was going to be too late if we left it any longer. So we died, and then I was sort of left in the dark a bit because then Winnie pretty quickly joined Mantra.
Yeah.
When he joined Mantra, and then I was sort of looking for options, and then I heard Riley had joined Blitz, which I'm like, that's a fucking good little pick up there. And then so now, and then I ended up eventually joining formerly Blitz, now Fresh Food People, in this current season. So it's been obviously only a short period of time, but currently just sort of grinding it out with them and slaving away in the Open League. So
how's the Open League this season? Like, you know, is it very close? You know, you got Canon Event down there who promised that they would be back. You know, how's your team going, and how's the other teams in particular? Like, you know, is any standout team? Like last season you had Art of War, and then obviously I think the season before that there was not many teams that stood out basically.
Yeah, there was always a couple of teams that were going to be a threat. Like you said, in the past seasons, there was like a few teams that you knew could be good that have been together for a while, which is always a positive. Like, it's always a benefit when you've been with the team for a while. You'll sort of have that naturally, even though you may not be as like mechanically better. There's teams that have been together for a while, like the old arcade with Pearl and Magic and that. Like, they were always a threat because they've been together for so long and had that connection. But this season, it's weird because there was that team with Ricky and Tux.
Yeah.
Sorry, Techstar.
Techstar. Yep.
Yeah, Techstar, and then they were going to be a pretty big threat, obviously with Matt as well.
Yeah.
Before he's gone off and doing his own thing, but they were going to be the number one threat, 100%. Like we were playing them in scrims and they were fucking us up.
Yep.
But at the moment it's obviously like.
Are you happy to see them in Mind Freak at least?
Yeah, well, quietly. Yeah, just quietly. But like, there's obviously like going off last season. Like, there's that the Lux guys were pretty scary to face. Like, we beat them the first time, and then on Deadweight when we played them the second time, they had obviously done their homework, and they're like, fuck, like, they're pretty on the ball. But there's obviously Canon Event. There's a bit of a meme around them that there's not another threat in the league for them, so we're trying to make a point with that one. Yeah. So there's a few teams like there's obviously your undergrounds and your even like there's like that swanky team, the Godsweir team that can beat teams here and there, but there's no real standouts I think this season compared to like last season with Art of War. Like everyone knew that they were going to be at the pointy end of it, just with their firepower like Terry and whatnot. It's sort of there's a few teams at the top at the moment that you sort of are surprised by. But it's hard. It's hard when it's this early because a lot of the way that the matches are set up, you play against some of the bottom teams in the league. You like we had a game against a level 3 team, so it's quite easy to go 7-6 and 0 like at the start of the season because you're playing. It just depends who you matched up against. But once in the next couple of weeks, you'll sort of see the teams that are really in it sort of start to get to the top, and the real top 10 will sort of flesh itself out.
Merge, yep. So I guess this is kind of a different question because obviously now you've been in the game for quite a while. When did you first start playing like CSGO or CS2 in particular?
Yeah, I started playing CSGO because my brother was like addicted to it.
Yep.
And I had just come back from 6 months in the UK playing cricket. And
was it county cricket or like do you like play cricket in like a first class or second class or
it was like Division 3 county, so
okay.
It was decent. I was up in Leeds over there for a while, but it was decent enough level, but so I'd done that, came back and was just sort of playing randomly. I was starting to go to uni. I'd played a little bit before I left, just real casually.
Yep.
And I'd come back. I had no idea about the pro scene, no idea about anything like that. And then I came back when I was 20, and sort of got into it a little bit, and then just naturally started playing matchmaking. And then I remember seeing some streams from like Freakazoid and some of those guys back then. And then sort of naturally went into sort of my pro scene. My brother was a fan of Nip, the Prime Nip, and Fanatics, and my other brother was liked Olaf and that sort of thing. But so I sort of slowly got into it, and I played that much Face It before I hadn't even thought about going playing competitively. And it was about a year into it. Like I'd played almost just over 1,000 Face It games, and before I really started to get into it, and then joined. I'm trying to think who I even way back. My first sort of group was like TNT, and there's a few others around there who I sort of like KO, Bray, and those guys are sort of started as sort of like my first sort of mates I got into, and then eventually got into a team called Miscreant.
Yep.
Way back when, and I think that roster was Kurgan, Demigod, Axwell, and InStyles, and first sort of taste of like proper like practice and stuff. And then it was a few months later where Demigod got banned for cheating, for walling. We actually brought this up in conversation last week with Pearl because I think we ended up playing against him or something, and he had an unbelievable game on Nuke, and he was the IGL, and we were like, fuck yeah, he's a man in form. And I didn't even think about cheaters in competitive. I didn't even know it was a thing, and then turns out he was cheating, and then got banned, and then from there it was sort of team died. But I've sort of, especially during Go, I was involved in a lot of teams that just died. I feel like back then a lot of teams, they play a season that don't succeed and they just die.
So are you like a professional ringer or something where they need a fifth for 2 months to just tie you over? They just bring you in.
Yeah, mate. That's it. That's what it felt like for a while there. I don't even know how to go through back in the CG days, the Cyber Gamer stuff, and I feel like now it's like a lot of teams don't necessarily die. A lot of it now is like players get kicked. Like it's a few teams that are like a revolving door in terms of just trying to upgrade their team all the time instead of sticking with them.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like back then it was like if things weren't going well a little bit, they just die and start again. So I guess that's a positive in the fact that teams are trying to stay together. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what's like obviously you went from, I think you went to underground at one stage. Like when did you have you ever been in the EC Prem? I believe you have. I'm trying to think which team.
Yeah, 1620 Kings was my first sort of go at that. Like my first iteration with 1620 was with JKR and Chas and Mai.
Yep.
Back then, even with Jono back in the day. And then I sort of trialed for 1620 with Cheeseball over the off season, and then ended up joining them, which turned out to be a bit of a shit show. I was sort of obviously first cracked at pro. Wasn't a lot of time before the champs season.
Was it more of a team oriented kind of thing, or was it more of like you not having just being put into the fire basically?
Yeah, I mean it was like, I don't know, I feel like the team how it was run probably didn't suit the way I sort of wanted to do it.
Yep.
Obviously, with Cookie and that, like obviously they've been unbelievable, and we had so like with Nora and Forvin, those two were unbelievable. Forvin back then was just destroying everyone. So it helped, and I was sort of playing the bitch roles, which I was fine with.
Yep.
But the way the sort of team was run, it was sort of like, which is, it's if it's how you want your own team, that's what you want to do. But it was sort of, a lot of it was, you have to do a lot of this stuff yourself. And a lot of it wasn't a lot of offline prac, it was a lot of just scrim, and then you sort of put in your own time to improve your game. So, but when you're coming from where I was, obviously in
cricket,
like the CGI and that sort of thing, like that lower level, jumping up to there, it was like, I feel like I had to catch up on a lot. And then within a couple of months, they sort of were letting me know that they were bringing in Sunshines. And then I was sort of filtered out pretty quickly out of there. So, but yeah, it was that was sort of my introduction to the champs level. But I filled in for a game or two there for Fiend's team.
That was the big dogs, or was it when they were Antic? Or Riot?
It was Riot.
Yep.
At the time, yeah. So it was Riot, and that was just a couple of games, which was pretty fun. But But I've been close a lot of times, and I've really wanted to get there with a team that I actually enjoy playing with, and actually really know that if we were to get there, we would actually like stay up there. You don't want to just get there for a season and then get fucked and then just go back down to the open again. So been close a few times, but
What sort of leadership style do you prefer? Obviously, you said it wasn't that great, wasn't sort of the system do you prefer, or like what is sort of your ideal team kind of thing?
It's hard because you're always going to have a mix of players, and it's always going to change from team. But a lot of it, the sort of style you want is players thinking for themselves, but ultimately having your leader and your secondary caller, like having like really group like that mentality of how they want to play. I sort of tried to drill when I was attempting to call a few times where I want everyone to have a voice. I don't want it to be like a fucking hierarchy where this RGL overcalls everyone. You want everyone to have their ideas, because if you like, I always bring up this example where like you want your wing players to have the info, like on Mirage, for example, and you want your B apps guy to get the information so that he's able to call how, let's fucking B pop here. They're throwing you to, let's fucking go. But if you've got this hierarchy of this IGL just calling everything, like how the fuck is he meant to know what's happening on the wing? So it's that sort of like mix of, team dynamic where everyone feels like they can have a voice. And it was really getting there on dead weight as well, I feel like. Obviously, when we brought in Sharky, that was a big sort of thing in terms of having an AWPer that can have their voice. And obviously, with his experience, it was massive for us to sort of really try and attempt to beat the top teams. But yeah, in terms of general, like even like the team at the moment, we got Brozier and Vanilla Icy, who are younger guys, and us are finding that you can sort of see glimpses of it, and it's really good. But you want to sort of let them have the space to sort of learn themselves, and putting them in situations where they have to sort of adapt and make calls within their own sort of game, and that's only going to help them. So, once you know, a lot of the younger guys, that's what you sort of, you know, I don't think it's a pressure thing for them specifically, but I know for a lot of players, that's what it comes down to when you're in those sort of clutches and you sort of break down. You know, they can be as mechanically gifted as they want, but when you put into that situation where, you know, and this is me coming from a sporting fucking life. It's like you just got to put yourself in comfortable situations, and you got to keep exposing yourself to those sort of chances to you know, compete and then you know, shine, I guess.
What other sports have you played? You said you played cricket in particular. Like, you play, like, I assume you play AFL as well, because those two go together, because summer winter.
Summer winter.
Is that where,
being
like,
in Melbourne?
Yeah, of course. Rugby as well, mate. Yeah, clearly.
No rugby. No, fuck that. That was always the main thing growing up. Like, it was, footy during the winter, like you said, and cricket during the summer. Like, I was doing Auskick. My dad ran the Auskick clinic down at the local club, and then ran the junior club as well at football. And then cricket, I was doing Milo cricket back in the day. It was called Milo cricket when everyone had their. I
remember doing that.
Yep. You had your little bucket hat with the Milo thing on it.
That wasn't a thing back then in my days. Back in my days, where the dinosaurs were around and, you know, they'd flown.
Okay. That's a bit too far back. But I was doing that since I was 5 or 6, both footy and cricket. And then I just stopped playing footy because I was getting injured too much. Like, I was dislocating my shoulder and broke a couple of ribs and that sort of thing. And I've always been cricket over footy, and I seemed like I was more successful in cricket, so I sort of stuck with that. But I've done a bit of, like, during school, I was playing table tennis and badminton and all the fun sports. I'd never do footy at school. I'd always find a chance to play, like, some random sport because it was fun. But I've pretty broad spectrum. I played lawn bowls. I played a season of lawn bowls.
That's pretty interesting.
With some mates. Yeah.
How did that go?
We were drunk most of the time.
Oh my god!
But it was any excuse to sort of get out and just have a bit of fun. But me and my sort of close group of mates were pretty sport orientated. So that's just how it is.
So when you came back, what happened to the cricket in particular? Like, was it the injuries that, like, put you out? Like, what sort of things did you? First of all, what sort of things you did in the cricket, and then why didn't you pursue cricket?
I'd done. I was in the under-19 state squad for Victoria. I was sort of getting up there. I was in the Melbourne Renegades Academy.
Damn, that's pretty good.
And sort of going to all their trainings. I was doing net bowling to all the international teams that were coming over here. Got to bowl to Coley and all those guys, and which is pretty cool, down in the MCG nets.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually. Did they give you any tips or anything like that, or?
No, I've got it. The day it happened, I put it in my Twitter bio when I was bowling to Steve Smith, and I bowled him a bouncer, and he said, "Well bowled." I'm like, oh, I can die happy now. This is good. But no, the whole thing with Coley it was funny because when you're doing net bowling back then, like, you sort of have a rotation of players. You know, you're not bowling the whole 2-hour session. You sort of rotate between a couple other net bowlers. And I was lucky enough that I was bowling when Coley came in, because that's obviously who everyone wants to bowl to. And then he was just smashing us. Like, it was just, he wasn't like being nice, which was good. And it was like that sort of thing. So it was doing that was pretty cool. But I sort of a lot of things, I think you mentioned, there's just injuries with cricket. Like, sometimes it can be pretty cruel.
Are you quick, I assume, or quick, or a spin bowler?
Yeah, fast bowler.
Oh, okay. So you would have a lot of, like, stress fractures, the shoulder wouldn't have fucking helped. Yeah. That's it was my left shoulder. I'm left arm, and my left shoulder was the one that dislocated, and it still does. So, sort of recurring from that. So that was when I did my shoulder, it was sort of ended with Renegades. I sort of stopped with that. And then I joined a Premier club in Victoria, which you play against your Melbournes, your St Kilda, your Carlton. So it's like the step below state, which I still play at now. So I still do that alongside CS.
But yeah, no, it's sort of there's still a chance. Like there's always a chance of cricket. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I still love it. Still play it. Every opportunity. Sometimes I have to leave training early to come to CS prac, but
Yeah.
it's just the priorities. Like I'm lucky enough with my schedule and studying that I'm able to sort of juggle everything. So, yeah, I can sort of have a bit of freedom.
I played cricket back in the day, but I quit because I'm a big nerd. Let's just put it that way. But I played. I played off spin. No, I was much better at computer games than I was at cricket. To be honest, I played off spin.
Oh yeah.
And I got a hat trick on off spin. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of them was a bowled, which is incredible for an off spinner. Okay, bowling someone out as an off spinner because you're not meant to fucking bowl them.
Yeah.
And
that is big.
And obviously, two of them were catches because off spinners, you fucking they think they've got you, but they fucking don't. It's like, oh fuck, it's fun the other direction.
Yeah. I always love being a fast bowler because you can't threaten people as a spin bowler. You can't really, you can't scare people, so it's a lot harder.
You can't go for the fucking Yorkers, the toe crunches. You can't go for the bounces and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's I've actually never got a hat trick before, so that's something you've got on me.
To be fair, I got very lucky because the last one was a catch and mid on. And literally, the mid-on player literally just got to it. Like, literally caught it. He caught it like, you know how you catch it before you hit the ground? Like, with the hands
right underneath. Yeah.
He got that.
Yeah. No, they would have claimed it either way. They must have been shit himself. Was that for the third wicket as well?
Yeah, it was for the third wicket, yeah.
He would have been shitting himself.
Yeah, they made it a big thing, and I'm like, oh, just don't worry. Like, if I get it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
I wasn't too worried about it. But, I was the tail ender as a batsman, probably same as you. But fucking hell, man! Like, I was shit scared because I just didn't want to get hit by the ball.
Yeah, mate, I was always like that.
Yeah,
like I was really skinny growing up, and so I was like, I had no power. So I was like, that. Recently, I've just realised that I want to become just like a pinch hitter. Yeah. So I come in at like 8 now. I bat at 8 usually, and sort of come in just to try and score. But for so long, it's the tail ender, mate. Open bowling, batting the 11. That was my life.
Yeah. Funnily enough, like at 11, like my only famous innings was I smacked a guy for 6, I smacked a guy for a 4, smacked another guy for 4. They kept trying to get me out by catches. But it turns out I have a very powerful hook shot and a very powerful pull shot that they just have fucking no chance. Like, and I got out. I think I got out on the 7th ball after hitting. I think it was like 6, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and an out. So I hit. I think it was 26 runs, and then got out on the 7th ball when I came up again.
Yeah, like back then I was happy to get double figures, but back when I was like younger, it was incredible.
To be fair, I get like 1 and 2, and that's it. And I've ran out fucking.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, fucking.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Yeah, no, we don't talk about that.
Oh, but that's cricket back in those days in particular. Like, have you ever been hit in the box before? Okay, like I got fucking crunched during spin bowling in the crotch, and I'm like, oh, so much pain.
Yeah, it's the worst, mate. It happens too many times. Luckily, it doesn't split. That's the worst thing that can happen if you get hit there and actually splits.
Yep.
And then that's when you have incidences where it pinches. And anyway, like even last week I got hit in the toe, and my left big toe is like black now, so that's cool.
Oh no.
But those sort of things happen. But it's a good thing, like, because at training as a fast bowler, we have a sort of etiquette where you don't bowl bounces to each other.
Yeah.
So I'm usually okay with having bowlers bowl full to me, and then I can just sort of relax a little bit. But and then when it comes to the spinners, I just try and smack them out because there's no pressure on me to bat well. So but I don't know. That's all fun. I don't know.
Is that sort of like is that why you prefer the leadership style where everyone has a voice? Because in cricket, like everyone has a voice and whatnot as well. Is that kind of why you have that? Because you have the AFL where everyone has a voice, then you have the cricket. Is that kind of why?
100%. Yeah, like it's you can sort of tell in the scene like who's had like a sporting background. You can sort of tell the way they deal with teams. They're not assholes. You have a lot of those in this scene where like people just like act weird online, and it's like just fucking relax. You know what I mean? Like you sort of like people. I don't know. You could probably think of many people, and I'm thinking of many people now. It's like you just like they act so weird online, and clearly they don't have that thing of just like being normal and just talking to each other. And going back to a team, it's like, having that voice. It's like you got to have like faith in your own ability, like, and it's that confidence of like I like bring it back to cricket. Like you bowl that last over in a 2020 when they need 15 runs to win, and you go up. You want to be the one bowling.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to get to, the stage you want to get to, and you want to be in that clutch. You want to be in that situation where it's on you to do it. And even if it's a start round where you want to make a call and have that voice and have the ideas, keep thinking about it, even though you may not be able to do it, but you always consistently think about how can I actually beat this opposition, and not just be in autopilot mode where you're leading the IGL call of everything, and you can have that sort of impact, But yeah, it's a massive thing. Like in teams, you don't realize how important it is. Like the whole mid-round things, it's like if you're in a 2v3 situation and you have that little it might even be like 5 seconds where no one really says anything, and then it just turns to shit. It's little things like that you don't really fully notice, where someone's got to take leadership and take control of the situation, and not just like we have this thing at the moment where it happens to a lot of teams where you call what you're doing, but you're not actually calling what you want, like how you want the round to play out. You have someone saying, I'm holding long. It's like, okay, great. Like, what do you want me to do with that information? Like, just like you have someone actually make a plan. And it's that thinking where I feel like with cricket and a lot of sports, you sort of had that instinctive sort of thinking and thinking ahead.
It's kind of like, in Dust 2, so, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm holding long. It's like, yeah, holding long, plant long. Plant long, I'll hold long, go, and, I'll hold short, whatever it is, just making sure there's none of those fuckers come out, and also smoke CTs, re-smoke CT, so you can get someone at pit or car or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you can do in like pugs even. Like it's something you can easily practice it. Like it's not like you have to go to a Nadat video to learn how to do that sort of thing. It's just about just getting game practice in.
It's just more like not getting caught in your own head, I suppose.
Yeah. And it's different, obviously, when it comes to officials, because obviously there's that added pressure. And that's obviously, it's a lot easier to sort of fall into it's a bit of a thing where you just want to you sort of start focusing on your crosshair and sort of everything sort of starts blanking out around you, and that's fine. But I think it's definitely a good skill to have when you're sort of able to sort of control the situation.
So I think overall, what you're trying to say is that you're more focused on like what would you say to someone like that biggest focused after crosshair placement, stuff like that? Would you say it is that mid-round focus, or
like the most important
aspect? Yeah, most important aspect.
Yeah, I'd say it sort of changes from like if you're the AWPer, you're the one that's it's a lot of the eyes are going to be looking at you in terms of like you've got to take lead in a certain situation. You've got the most expensive gun in the game. You got to realistically you should be able to let people play around you, and have that control. And it sort of depends. Like obviously, crosshair placement's a different thing where it's it's circumstantial, but obviously it's a massive thing. But I think it is just being smart with what you're doing. Like it changes. It depends on the situation, but I still think the whole having a plan, whether it's the right one or whether it's the wrong one, like it doesn't matter. If you've got a plan, you can sort of at least you're like the people that are alive are still on the same page. Yeah, and you can go. There's no like a lot of clouded areas, like people aren't sure what everyone's doing. At least you then know you're both on the same page, whether it's right or wrong. You can sort of talk about it afterwards. But there's that period, like I said before, that it can even be 5 seconds, it can be 2 seconds, where you sort of have that period where you're sort of not sure what you're doing, and then someone peeks the right angle, where realistically you know that it's probably not a good angle to peek, but you're sort of just in that sort of mindset where you're like, oh, do I have to do something here? Do I have to peek something? Do I have to try and push something? And then it just happens. So
because Ruffleco has said that before, like where it's like you want to plan before you go into the game so everyone's on the same page and you're not really thinking about what we're going to do next. It's like we've already got a plan and stick to it. I think also I think it's either Foreign or something like that says it as well. Or it's either one of those two. It's either Richard or Foreign has said that that you stick to the plan regardless, because the biggest trick of professionalism in particular is adjusting when you know it's the 1 out of 10 times that the plan doesn't work. It's not the 9 out of 10 time plans. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, and those sort of things, like you plan it out, and you may have a reaction as well if things like if they block or someone dies in a situation, you still have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
And even not so, if you've got a plan, you sort of know how the round's going to play out. So if someone dies or something early, everyone still knows what they got to do. Like you said, like it's a plan. Yeah, you've already set it up beforehand, so everyone should sort of know what they have to do. But yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of like your future in particular, like with Blitz in particular, like, in CS, you continue grinding out to CS2. What are you trying to also aim for as well? Like, what's your future goals and what do you think the future holds for you?
Yeah, I think obviously with this Blitz team, there's a lot of potential, a lot of upside to them. Like I said before, with Vanilla Icy and Brozier being 18 and 17, they've got a lot of growing room. Obviously, like even Riley's only been playing, I think, for a year or two.
Frobisher's really like impressed me quite a bit with his rifling. Okay, he's got one of those trolling names where you feel like, oh, is this a person who just controls on Twitter all day? But he's very impressive as a rifler, and also Vanilla as well. I mixed him up with that old Vanilla who used to be an All-Pro as well. And I didn't realize they were different. So he's really good.
Bro's got a trolling personality as well, but that's just him. But he's great. No, I've known Vanilla Icy for like a couple of years now, just through playing against him and in pugs and whatever. Just through mutuals, obviously him being a New Zealander, I knew him through like Addict and Jono and those guys. Yeah. I can't remember if they played LAN together or something.
Who's Jono? So just in-game name.
Jono, it's Jono.
Oh, it's actually Jono. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Jono. Yeah. I'm not wheeling off nicknames for you to try and guess.
No, because every time people call, see, I'm trying to think Make. I think his name's Daniel for some reason. I'm trying.
Daryl.
That's right, Daryl. They call him Daryl. So I'm like, no, use your in-game names. Otherwise, no one's gonna know him.
No, I'm using in-game names here just to make it easier. But Vanilla Icy's always been. I didn't realize how young he was because he's been around for a while, and and even Brozier, I didn't really know him.
I remember him playing in like some open qualifiers. He was like 15, 16, and he was like pretty decent with his scout and stuff like that in the AWP. So I was like, that's why I thought they were the same person, because obviously a person called Vanilla used to come on my channel. I'm like, hey, shit, he's actually quite decent.
No, absolutely.
Do you reckon they could get up there with like Pain and stuff like that?
It's weird because Pain's sort of only really like improved a lot probably last season. And like it's so good to see him up in Mindfreak now doing well, because like he was always there, and obviously he got that shout out from Ali at Pro League or whatever on that couch, and sort of got his name out there. But I think so. Like it's obviously hard because everyone has their own issues, but he's super sharp, and he takes control of the situation.
And he's got that potential as well. Like he's got that potential where he can just pop off and have a very good play and like save rounds that aren't savable and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the same with Bro as well. Their issues the issues that they have is so easily fixable, and just comes with a bit of time and just playing in game time, and playing those things like we did in the qual, just playing those sort of games where it's like there is a bit of pressure on, and it's that even still they're still taking control of situations, and obviously like I said, Vanilla Icy being the all parts, what you got to do. So a lot of upside to those guys, and like I said, Riley being only new, I played with him when I originally joined Altered Edge. Coming out of Underground, and I didn't really know him at all. I knew Havoc from back when, and I joined that team because of Winnie, pretty much. I saw the way he was rifling. I'm like, that guy can fucking frag. But then I realized that Riley's like a fucking sick player, in terms of he can really hold his own.
That team was really, really good. It was just on the outsides of the open all the time.
And we when I was playing on Underground, it's the same sort of thing. It was always them and a couple other teams that were really right up to it. But I can't even remember who I replaced when I joined Altered Edge. They had a few changes.
Because I think obviously that Mechanical and Clover team with Underground fell apart.
That was like that Underground team ended.
I'm gonna say due to Arcade.
Sad.
Due to Arcade, of course, but you guys at Overpass, like You both good on Overpass, and Arcade ended it.
Yeah, no, we had Arcade's number for so long. I think we always were so close. We always won 13-11 against Arcade. It was a bit of a meme where we'd always just pull out in front. But yeah, that whole underground thing was ended. Like we, because Mechanical was obviously all calling, but he sort of had time crunch, and I took over the calling from that team, just to help him out. And he's a really good fragger as well, and having that pressure off him of having to call was probably a good thing for him. And then because we had Tham at the time, we had Sammy Boy on the team, and then we ended up having to kick him.
Oh no.
Which was hard, being a good mate of mine.
Reminds me of the Brace and Ruffleco situation of Vertex.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as dramatic as that.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty dramatic.
I think James was playing that up, to be honest. I think James was playing that up.
For a little while there, it was a bit serious, but then he ended up just playing around with it, which is good to see. But yeah, so that ended up. It was the same thing happened on Deadweight, where we're trying to trial, and there just wasn't someone that really stood out, and it was so hard to sort of be grinding, and I was calling without that, like I said before, without that set up sort of structured sort of team that I wanted, and it made it almost impossible. And we ended up calling it there, and we didn't have calling. I ended up getting kicked out of Underground, which was still one of the most confusing sort of things I'd gone through in the whole CS.
Don't worry, we've got a lot of confusing things in Tier 1, so it's just, just it'll be right.
Oh mate, it was so out of left field as well. Because I remember the day I got kicked, I was writing up some more strats to go through that night, and then I got mech'd in the Discord and fucking happened. I was so confused. But anyway, that's that. But yeah, no, it was probably a good thing in the end joining Deadweight. Joining Altered Edge, that became Deadweight in the end. Because those boys have been really good. Obviously, Havoc calling, and even when I joined Elephant, was a competent. Like he was sharp AWPer, another one of those guys I hadn't really heard of, but sort of proved himself a bit. But yeah, I've and now I'm just following Riley around into Blitz. So.
Last but not least, in particular, like you obviously mentioned Tam as well, Sam. You helped him and Roffico out during the marathon, I heard. Like, you talked to me before this as well. Like, you guys supported them during the marathon. Like, who else was there?
Yeah. No, we, they had their marathon a few weeks ago now. And they'd obviously been, like, Sam has been training for months. I think it was like 6 to 8 months he'd been training for. And James had been training as well. He'd been doing a lot of stuff I've been seeing on Strava and all the apps and that. And then, I sort of went down there. I was sort of talking to a few of the boys. Sam created a Facebook group to sort of see who would come down. And I ended up going down with your Wombat, PZ, and a few other guys, and who we've been sort of mates for a few years now. And Sam was really struggling with his hip. Like, he's having pretty bad hip problems. And so we sort of, between us three and Sam's sister as well, we sort of ran a few kilometers with him to get it through. And it was tough. Like, he was really struggling. Like, we were sort of thinking he was going to pull out, just with how much pain he was in. Like, it was just the way he was describing it.
What sort of hip issues is, like, kind of like cartilage, like, what is it, arthritis?
Well, apparently it's a genetic thing. His dad's had 2 hip replacements. Apparently it's a whole genetic thing. So, so, which probably didn't make me comfortable with him keep going, because it's probably not the best thing for you to keep running, but he sort of just said, look, this is going to be my only time that I do it, and I don't want to finish early. So he sort of kept going and ended up finishing it, so which was huge.
It's kind of like you in your shoulder, like as soon as it pops out once, it's coming out again, like again and again.
And it doesn't get any easier, I'll tell you that much. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so let's get to the first part, because we're going to talk about your team, obviously. So we're going to get to the first part of the podcast in particular. If you guys want to follow Script, you can follow Script on Twitch on Script with a 1, so SCR1PT_AU on Twitch. And I believe your Twitter name is Script CS. Obviously, it's spelled the same way, but no underground, or not underground, sorry, underscore.
Underscores. No, yeah. Yep.
Underground underscore. What's next?
Yeah, it was close.
What,
It was close.
What other teams do you want to be under? Okay.
Yeah, my fault. That's on me.
Don't worry, I remember Foggers' name. That's the only name I remember now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, done. Yeah, easy.
Okay, we'll talk about the first part. Then we'll talk about the ESL Atlanta results and also Sky Sports. I'm not sure if they call it Sky Esports. I'm not too sure. But let's talk about Atlanta because obviously your team participated in the Open Qualies this week. And tell us how it went, like for your team in particular, before we go through all of them.
Yeah. It went well. We weren't too sure what to expect. Obviously, a lot of these qualifiers, it sort of depends on how you're seeded in terms of how far you'll get. But in terms of like upset, I think we sort of did as well as we expected. We sort of had our first game against 9 Lives. We knew we should beat. And we did, and then we had Canada Event, who we knew we could beat, and that was a good sort of confidence booster, being Canada Event, obviously being in the Open League as well. It's sort of good being those teams where, it obviously doesn't really matter in the long run if you beat them this one, but it's good to have that one up on them when you do play them again, later on in the open season, and having that confidence, especially being, fairly early in our stage of what we're doing, obviously knowing there's a lot of, improving to be had. And then we had the DXA game, which was so, we were so close.
Do I want to remind you of what happened in the final rounds?
Yeah, okay. I know.
Two of you line up. Oh.
No, okay. It's so hard because it was, of course, it was fucking James as well. It's rough because
it was a James that swung out, but it was like James, like I think edged a bit, so he had you lined up with the M4.
Yeah. No, we played so well. Obviously, Riley and I hadn't played Inferno and CS2. Like we were, it was our insta ban on Deadweight. It was also insta ban on Underground when I was like 10. So I hadn't played Inferno for a good year or two. So I've only just started practicing it again, and we were, improving and playing so well. And we're like, okay, DXA, we lose, that's fine. We just want to see, sort of test the stuff that we've been working on to see, we use it as a scrim. A lot of these qualifiers, you can use them as a scrim because realistically, the chances of us going to Atlanta is, pretty low. So, and we're okay with that. Some of the other teams, that's fine. So we just wanted to prove ourselves. And going into that game, we had a bit of a slow start. We started T side and we did pretty well. I think going into our CG side.
I think you guys overachieved. In fact, like I would have said, like you should have been knocked out by Canada Event, if anything.
Yeah. I think a lot of people sort of expect that, which is totally fair. But just going off how we've been going in scrims and stuff, I think we had a lot of confidence.
So what happened on the CT side in particular? Sorry, I interrupted.
The DXA one?
Yeah, the DXA one.
On the DXA, side, yeah. So because we've been our city side's the one that's been struggling. I think you'll see a lot recently. Inferno T side's been pretty strong. There's a lot of, especially in the pro. Yeah, which is sort of surprising. Everyone still picks CT side as a bit of a confidence thing, as a bit of a base level, because starting CT side's a bit more comfortable. But
is it kind of like a cricket thing where you start CT side, so you know how many T side rounds you've got to get? Is that kind of like...
It's like you always want to bat first. It's the same sort of thing. You sort of know what you have to defend.
Bowl first, so you know what you need to get.
Yeah. No, it's the same sort of it's the same sort of mindset.
Yep.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, you sort of have to know. You can sort of gauge whether you need to force here, whether you can afford to save. That sort of thing. But like I was saying, we had been struggling on our city side, which is fine. But we were starting to get a bit of a roll on, and then obviously got to the point where we were on match point, 12-11 up. We got the entry kills. I think we had 2 kills in B. I got a kill in A, and it was a 2v. Was it a 2v5? I don't even know. I know it was obviously a 1v4. And then Brozier got a kill on B, and then got traded out by James. And then it was a really weird situation because I was coming up from Nana, and we knew he was Dark or New Box, and so I know I couldn't isolate my fight coming from Nana because we had Vanilla Icy at Coffin, and then Riley coming from CT. So it was like we didn't want to isolate our fight. So we're sort of making a plan. And then unfortunately, Riley died, and then because he was on top of Dark, and then he dropped after he got that kill.
Yeah.
And then I followed his AWP, so we're like, okay, well, let me just sort of jiggle. I'll pick off you. You sort of slowly peek him, and then as he's swinging around, I've sort of come to jiggle, and then James has peeked at the same time, and then we end up lining up, and then I'm like trying to shoot him, but then like Ollie's in front of me, and I'm like. And then it just turns into shit. I think I tagged him like 60 or 70, and then sort of goes from there.
He's on 34 HP. It's always. Yeah. And then was it just the mood just flat in OT, or was it just DXA like after that 1v4 they just got a momentum and just ran all over you?
Well, Pearl started celebrating because he thought we won the round. He thought we got the kill, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? It threw me off. It was like, it's always deflating.
Yeah.
For a little bit, but we bounced back. We bounced back pretty quickly. It's obviously no one's going to be excited after that. We didn't take a pause. We knew what we needed to do. We knew we were. I wouldn't say we were beating them, but like we knew how to sort of break them down. And obviously it was very Nana centric. Like Nana control was huge. They weren't taking brackets. So that was always going to be our main focus, but we had a lot of confidence into it, and then it just sort of spiraled from there. They had a couple of rounds. I think they got there was a round on our T pistol. We lost another 1v4 against Lucas. He stuck the defuse in a smoke.
The typical Lucas clutch. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
It's a typical, So it's like coming from that game. A lot of those rounds, like losing those rounds sucks, but. We know we're not losing because they're outplaying us.
Yeah.
We know that we're just losing based on circumstances that we can sort of learn from and go from there. So the fact that we're not losing because they're just outplaying us is probably a really good thing.
Yeah.
And, we're lucky at this stage where it's not really, there's not much weight behind these sort of games.
I'd say 16-13 kind of proves you put DXA to OT, and DXA is one of those teams that they've taken a map of B&K as well.
They've been doing well. Yeah, they've been doing well in ACL. Yep. Yeah. So, a lot of improvements. Obviously, thinking about that 1v4 is going to be a thing. But, in the long term, I think it's something going to go do well for us coming into the rest of this open season.
So let's move from that in particular. So let's talk about the entire thing overall. I think there was only really one big upset in particular. And
I know which one it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think everything went as a plan, pretty much. We got to a lot of the ESA Prem teams. I think the only ESA Prem or ESL team that didn't get through there was Arcade. But they first Art of War, which is just like that's like a top tier matchup in itself. But
correct,
it was above the rest being KZG. That was probably one of the big upsets in particular because when you look at this roster, other than Ryu, I know Ryu is a very great player, but it's like Luffy, Keza. The funny thing about Keza, I've casted him once because the IPs weren't working once. So I put one I put one extra number to the port, and I was casting a Face It game with Keza in it. So it was the most randomest thing ever, okay? Because Team Keza versus another team, because it's obviously a face-it match. But anyway, I'm looking at Crash and CSJ, and you're just like, this team ain't too flash. Like, there's no other than Ryu. We played these guys in open. We beat them 16-4 on Ancient. 13-4 on Ancient, and we thought they, were like that sort of. They'll make finals. We know they'll make finals in open, but. In terms of their depth, like I know Luffy's a good player, and obviously Ryu's been around for a while, but a lot of the other guys I weren't too sure about. I may have played them in pugs and whatever, but don't actually know much about them. I think Broja and Icy knew a few of them. But it was weird because I know KCG had been struggling on Ancient in another series. I can't remember if it was another qualifier or whatever, but they end up coming back from a massive deficit on their T side and won, and it looked like they were going to do it again. Could have been the game before.
Yeah, maybe, and it looked like they were going to do it again. I think they were down 3-9 at halftime or something like that, and they almost came back and won it. But it's. I mean, 13-11. Can't get much closer, but you sort of wonder what happened because there shouldn't be any way that they lose that.
Do you think it's because of the fact Payne coached them, so there could be some counter-stratting involved, or nah?
I mean, it seems like he's had a bit of an impact on those guys, but it's hard to sort of break down because, like, you look at their stats and it's pretty average. Like, I think overall KZG were right up there. Obviously, it's 13-11, so the stats are always going to be close. But it's something you'd have to look down. I don't know how the rounds went. We were sort of playing our game and we saw that result. We're like, what the fuck? Like, Okay, right.
Yeah, take a look at it. Luffy played a lights out game, same with Hassie and Estate in particular. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, I think Luffy had 23 kills, 10 assists, which is fucking really impressive.
Yeah.
And this is the weird part, okay? He had 1 triple kill, so he must have got a constant 2Ks and kept dying over and over again.
Yeah, it must be entering or something. He must be like just doing damage, getting a kill and dying. But yeah, no, he's a good player. I remember him
and doing a lot of damage as well. Like, he's 102 ADR, so that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm going to say everything went pretty much as expected. You had your Art of War get very far. You had Mind Freak being DXA. I mean, like, other than Arcade, I think all the other teams that got through to the final 8 were ECL teams that you expect.
Yeah. I think the one thing was surprising was how dominant Art of War were. Like being advantage, like 13-3 or something like that. Like it's it's a few alarm. I don't know what's going on with Vantage. I think they're in a bit of a weird spot at the moment. But
well, they had the IGL quit, which is the worst.
Yeah, Harbour. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird dynamic, I think, going on there. I think they got to find their sort of identity, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they got. I'll put it this way: they got Terry and Bernard. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's why I call it when Terry and Bernard tear up a team.
Yeah. No, he's been playing excellent. But yeah, I think obviously Vantage have got the players that do it, so I think they'll be fine in the long run. But I think Art of War were always going to do well.
Well, especially after they upset Rooster as well. They upset Rooster 2-0 in ESL. And they and the thing is, it's like, this is the hard part, because teams can upset teams. Okay, get that one map. Can they do it consistently? And well, they did it really fucking consistently against a lot of teams. I mean, against above the rest, they mince-beated them basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's always like I said. I'd like to know what actually happened in that KZG game, because it should be. That's what I thought what should have happened against KZG. But Art of War, they just punish you. Like, their Ancient was so fucking scary to play against, because they just seemed to know everything you were doing. They had a count of everything. That's their fucking bread and butter. I think Eddie said that a couple of times as well, where Ancient, Ancient's Ancient for them. Like, it's just and you can't. It's so hard to know what to ban against them, because they have. They have their Mirage, they run around and just fucking shoot people. You got Terry and Banana on your team.
You got the Ava maps. You got your Inferno. Even though Inferno's a bit nade heavy as well. You got your Dust 2. You got your Mirage. You can't avoid that map in the BO3.
Yeah, I remember playing I was playing an ECA qualifier and against Caught Off Guard.
Yep.
When Terry and that was on the team, and I'm still haunted by Terry getting 50 kills on us on Dust 2. So when I saw Dust 2 came back into the map pool, I literally thought about Terry, and I thought how good they're going to be now with the Dust 2 back in the map pool.
Yep. We'll go to another one. We go from Mind Freak via DXA. Do you think Mind Freak's having a big honeymoon period with Ricky and Texter being added to the roster, or do you think it's like, this could be a genuine upgrade?
I said this last night to my team. It is a honeymoon. It's always going to be a honeymoon period, but I think I don't think they'll fall too far flat once they sort of settle down. I think obviously they got some pretty fucking good players and like when you got Ricky on your team, you got Payne, obviously the up and comer. I don't know. Is Ricky Payne's still AWPing, isn't he?
Yeah, Payne's the main AWPer. This is This is why I said, Tex is a great player to pick up. Like, Tex was performing very well with Crunchy when they did that team in particular.
Yeah.
As I wrote my article, I don't get Ricky. Okay, like, why I picked Ricky? I could have kept the other two, but I understand the rule of 2. Like, when you switch out players, you out 2 and in 2, unless it's something really serious, because the core is relatively the same, which is basically Gump, Tux, and Payne. Yeah. And that's who they build around, and then. Yeah, so I understood, Tex again, Tim. Didn't understood Ricky too much. I could have understand, you brought, any other rifler that's still out there, because there's a lot of Australian riflers. Like, the biggest Australian rarity at the moment is AWPers and IGLs.
Yeah, that's why I think Slimy is a bit stiff with what happened, because he's a really good player. Obviously Super was, it's just unfortunate. Like, he's definitely able to play at that level. Like, he's proven himself to be able to do that. But like the whole thing of 2s, like bringing Ricky in as well. I think it happens. So I think not bringing him as an AWPer is obviously going to be a bit weird. But obviously Ricky's been there. He's been there before, so
exactly.
I don't think he'll have an issue. Yeah. So
the only thing for me was that it's just like there's a lot of other riflers maybe trying to go for a high potential rifler, but I think overall, Mind Freak, they've picked up Pain and they just want to go all in and trying to get into these tournaments at this stage because they've picked up a young prodigy. Alistair could retire next week, and the fucking FlyQuest are giving him an offer he can't refuse, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think well, who's so they're closed qual now. Like I think they can
closed qualifiers are BNK, Mind Freak. They haven't released the fixtures. Rooster and Art of War.
Yeah. Okay. So
because FlyQuest accepted the world ranking invite they got.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, it's obviously a bit of a shuffle period with BNK at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see how they go.
This is a hard close qualifier to predict. Any of these teams,
I have no idea.
Any of these teams can qualify, and you can be like, oh yeah, you got Terry Banana, they can qualify. And you got Pain and Gum, they can qualify. Oh, you got Rooster, you got Rooster. You go, maybe ASAP fucking just absolutely just demolishes you with TJP. Like, and also you got Danger back on the roster as well because Danger was being subbed out for some of these games. And you look at BNK and like they've still got the firepower. A lot of people saying Braces Systems, 3 months, bam. Overcello played pretty well advantage. It's just an absolute fucking like. You don't know what you're gonna get out of this. Like I'm trying to make predictions of being an I can't even fucking say the word, but an analyst. You've got to be analyst. We got there. Okay. I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck's gonna win. Okay. Like I'm gonna back Art of War to get the spot. Okay. But I can't be fucking certain that they will because I'm looking at Mind Freak, I'm looking at Rooster, I'm looking at BNK. Like they've got win conditions too. So it's just absolute crazy this close qualifier for Oceanic because I'm not hamming it up on Twitter. It is genuinely fucking mind-boggling to me because I'm just like, I just don't know,
mate. Who knows? Like for the region's sake, sort of hope Rooster get there just because they can actually. Make that do damage, and then BNK once they click, it'll be fine. But it's such a weird time.
I say Mind Freak and Art of War can do the same thing. You got to Terry and Banana were in that new roster that did some pretty decent damage as well. It's just I think overall, I think any of these teams in particular, depends who comes into the ESL Challenger. It's the rough part. If we have an ESL Challenger Yoshiping, fuck this the team that goes through no Oceanic qualifier is dead. Like they're just gonna get absolute 2-0. Like no chance. Yeah. But if we get one like we had in Melbourne and had in the previous one, I'm trying to remember the previous one, where it was a bit easier, then maybe they might get a win here and there.
Yeah. No, it's I can see that happening. I think, obviously, depending on all the sources about the whole Addict and Hazard thing. Once obviously it was a tough time when they they kicked Geordie, and then obviously with the other two leaving, like it's such a weird, like I know like they still got the firepower, they still got the players to do it. Yeah, so it's not like you're just swapping out a player or two. It's pretty much 3 players. Obviously Damon's been there for a little while before the 2 changes, but still it's a lot of adjusting to do. So so I think he's back on the rifle now with Tom Thorping, but
that's right. Yeah.
So once they click, I think they'll be fine. Like there's still a good chance that they qualify, but at the same time, Terry could just beat Terry, I guess.
Yeah, it's also a good thing as well that the close qualifiers aren't until August 21st, so we've got about 3 weeks to do so as well.
Oh, is that far away?
Yeah, like I got rescheduled because obviously I'm casting taps
BNK are away.
I'm tapping the nose. Of course I know BNK away as well, but I'm just tapping the nose that I know because I'm casting it. But I think that's overall that's it for that event in particular because. Overall, it went as expected, other than above the rest, basically.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a pretty straight cut qualifier. I think. No real surprises, but I think it's the teams that got through really have a chance of taking it out, like we spoke about. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens from here. But.
Actually, you know what? We can actually, you know how I said that before about ESL Challenger Atlanta? Let me see the teams that got invited. Because I'm very sure it's FlyQuest. Yeah, I
saw that tweet.
Yeah, let me see it because it could be bad for them. Because M80's a
M80's the hometown hero.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big bedroom. Oh yeah, do you know what I'm going to say right now? The team that qualifies by the OC qualifiers is going to get stomped. I don't see a good future for them because.
What are the other teams?
M80, FlyQuest, Big, and Betboom. I don't see
Yeah.
Bet Boom probably
Yeah.
is the weakest of the lot, and if Bet Boom is the weakest of the lot, yeah, you're gonna get stomped.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be tough. I think it'll just be a good experience. I guess. I think a lot of these teams will just use it as experience. So,
and the qualifiers,
it just depends on how well
the
they do.
qualifiers is an NA qualifier, EU qualifier, South America qualifier, and you just have to think about the teams that will need that ESL Pro League spot. So it could be MRBR potentially, could be. There's obviously a few teams in the mix there in particular. NA, it's gonna be a tough one. Because MA's got Lake in it now, so that's a scary proposition. EU could be fucking anyone, okay? EU have got a lot of good teams in particular. But now we talk about the EU teams. Let's switch over to Sky Esports, okay? Because an EU team won that one, okay?
Yeah.
The French...
What a shit show.
Well, first of all, the first day was a pretty big shit show. But I've got to say, they did really well to bring that back.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why, how they pulled those PCs out of their ass, it seems like. But, I don't know why they didn't use... was there a reason they didn't use that equipment to begin with?
I have no idea, unfortunately.
It seems weird. I don't know.
It was a bit unfortunate, obviously, that BetBoom did withdraw, and Nafany wasn't happy. Yeah. And obviously, I think it was Cassard came on and said, they're not that bad, Nafany. I think a bit overreacting or whatnot. But I've got to say, they... Like I say, that event overall, the second day was really, really good. Now, in particular, I've got to say, teams that went out pretty early, of course you expect the Indian teams to go out very early. Revenant, True Rippers, they get bullied in the Asia RMR qualifiers, okay? When you put them to Asia RMRs, they get bullied there. They have no hope against any of these European teams.
Yeah.
But
that was pretty clear.
One team in particular did underperform. I'm going to say it's Bleed. Bleed underperformed here.
Well, it's weird. They got so much. I mean, obviously with Jacob and Nork joining them, but I don't know how long they need to take to, because they got these players that they're individually really good. Yeah, obviously next to joining and Cypher, but I don't know whether it's they've got a lot of funding behind them. It's not like they're not supported, but it may just take a bit of extra time to sort of gel. Obviously they're getting some good results, and then some games it's sort of hard to tell from the outside, but you'd think it should work. So I don't know what they're playing in next. What events they've got coming up.
I'm not sure at the moment for Bleed. There could be a lot of tier 2 events that they're in as well. Overall, I gotta say, it could be a bit of Cassard shuffling too many pieces in particular as well, and you got to be very careful of that. I know Cassard's well aware of it. Cassard's a great coach overall. Anyone who says it isn't, it's a very dummy. He's aware of his team and stuff like that as well, and he's also very clear as well. He probably told the guys why they were benched and whatnot. Overall, I'd say this is a bit of the downfall for Bleed, given the fact that they did very well. They also qualified for. They also did some Bet Boom DH as well. That's the next event for them to close qualies. They also did pretty all right against Rez. They did all right in CCT. They obviously did all right at the what is it called again? It's on the tip of my tongue. The Mongolian tournament. They did pretty good that Misa, obviously losing to Mongos as well as expected. They came second place. I just think overall, if this becomes a consistent pattern, it could be bad for Bleed. But I don't look too much into this. I think this is just an aberration for Bleed that they just had that one-off bad event. Because they've been having consistently good events where they've been outperforming where they need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they're getting that close to Paravision and those sort of teams that they'd want to be beating comfortably, it's not a good sort of sign. They'll be playing against a lot of tier 2. Those sort of European teams play so many officials, so I'm sure they'll get a lot of game time in to sort of work out their own.
Why I say it's underperformance, because they beat Aurora last time, obviously, to get out there. And I viewed them around that Aurora Eternal Fire status, which came third and fourth, and they missed it by a mile. They had Ents and Amcal beat them as well. Another underperformer as well is Ents as well. I expect Ents to be first, second, or third at this event, not fifth or sixth, but that's a slight underperformance. I don't know. Ents is so weird. Unfortunately with their sort of players getting picked out, but I don't even know what their full roster is now. They got SDY on their team. It's a weird sort of mix. Obviously Goofy's a really good player and he's sort of proved himself, but it's interesting to see how Glave's going to go about it in terms of how he wants to set up his team, because it's it's weird. Obviously the first time
not playing with a Danish roster in the original Lance, the Polish guys. And it's sort of hard to sort of see the level that they can get to. Like I don't know. Like I don't have a lot of confidence in it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I don't have any either. Because to be honest, it's just too many. It's like too many switches, and he doesn't have many parts to really work with anymore. Because Diha's gone. Yeah. I think he's only got Kyler to really work with now as well. Because Kilaro is really good, and obviously Pody coming back from the academy squad had a pretty rough start on I think it was the ESL Challenger Yu Shiping, but bounced back from it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's. I mean, it sort of depends on how many events they got coming up. How long is that fight? Like, it just depends. Like a lot of these teams, like a lot of these changes, like it just depends on how many people, like how long they've actually been together. So yeah, SDY and Pody has been on the team for 2 months. Yeah. So
the first tournament was the ESL Challenger Yu Shiping. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see by the time after the Cologne. I think after Cologne's going to be an interesting sort of time to see what teams do, and it'll be the major will be sort of slowly starting to creep up as well. So
let's talk about some good things, because I'm always a negative first.
Let's talk about good stuff.
Aurora and Eternal Fire, they keep consistent. They keep in the same place as well. I mean, Eternal Fire had a bit of a lull period. They've bounced back third and fourth for both Aurora and Eternal Fire. The big problem I have for Aurora is that they want to get that win, okay? But the good thing is that they consistently play third and second every time. You get the same result from them. Put a pun on results name, obviously, but you get the same result, that they're always in there with the hunt, and they only lost narrowly to the winners, 3D Max, in a 2-1 on the series.
They're so close. Yep. Yeah, they're so close. They got some really fucking good players in that team. Obviously when they were over here, like it's sort of like a lot of their, obviously when they were over here, they performed as well as what you'd hope, but like even Result and those sort of guys, we know what he can do, but it's these sort of Russian teams that are that have been grinding, like they come out of the fucking woodworks, and Aurora now is sort of that team that sort of step up, and I feel like it's just a matter of time before their players start getting poached. Like it's sort of at that sort of weird time where you're waiting for a team to dial or make moves where they start to do well, they start to really click, and then all of a sudden their players get taken. But
this is the worst part from in particular. Like, you're not going to approach the AWPA because Russia has too many good AWPers. It came a point where I think it was an Amiga or a tier 2 team was picking Disbalance up, and Disbalance is a tier 1.5 AWPA, and it's like, where are the other AWPers? You have like Simple, you have your Shiro, you have your Monacy. It's like, where are the Russian teams? Yeah, they've already been picked up. Like, you've still got a lot of tier 1s.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, now you got fucking, obviously Eternal Fire, like they've been there and about. Obviously, I was happy when Moxic joined them again. Like it was sort of sad when he left that team, but now that he's on back on now, it's a really good. I think it's going to be really good for him. But I think everyone wants Eternal Fire to do well. No, I feel like they're a team that everyone likes.
I just want, as I've said to a lot of European countries, I just want them to keep a roster for 3 months and not fucking switch around players.
Yeah. I mean, everyone sort of, when Mage did that interview or whatever, I remember watching a what was it, that podcast with Sponge and that, when Major was on that. I think
Talking Counter.
A lot of people that I remember listening to that, and I think everyone who listened to that just fell in love with Major, and now just want them to do well. And I think that's just the way that they're sort of doing it. I didn't even realize he's French, isn't he? And then
he is.
Yeah, and obviously you don't realize that on HLTV when it says he's Turkish, but you didn't realize that was that whole dynamic with that team as well. So
because he's played on a few French rosters as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, for some reason I'm thinking Envy, but I don't think it's Envy at the same time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you. LDLC maybe.
Yeah, it could be one of those. Like it's one of the big French rosters that he's played on, and I'm just trying to remember what before we went to Eternal Fire. You know what? I can give Google a shout as well. No, you got it right. It's LDLC.
It was?
Yeah, it was LDLC, but I know he's on a French roster for some time. And then they called themselves the Turkey 5 before they got into Eternal Fire.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. No, I think like Ricardia and Zentara is like, Zentara is just, he's just keeping his level so high.
I don't know how he's done it for like the last 5 years, where he's just got that peak and he's just absolutely obliterates you. But enough about Eternal Fire. Let's talk about the 2 Ws, okay? You got Freddy Max winning their first event. This is huge for them because Freddy Max has been that middle in the pack team, and they just win with this one out of nowhere. Mongos, I guess you could be forgiven given the fact they've been on the road for so much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, 3 Max have had it seems like they're in a bit of a purple patch as well. So I think them winning isn't a surprise, even though in terms of the event, it's not a surprise the way they were playing. But in terms of in general, I don't think anyone would have thought they did so well. Like a lot of these, it seems like the French rejects or like the old French guys sort of
pretty
back,
much. So, like I say, other than Gravity and Exercise is literally the French rejects.
Yeah. And like Joko and Lucky, you've seen them around for years and years.
And Maka as well,
Yeah, Maka, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But like they were destroying teams. Like they were, taking the piss, really, to put it in simple terms. But even that final, it's a bit of a statement game, like to just put Mongols to bed like that.
Straight up to nothing as well, not even close. Just like, you're taking a top 10 team and just being, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't know if they've made how recent of the Maka and Gravity. I don't know how long they've been on the team for.
They've been on the team for a very long time. I think the recent replacement has been Gravity to the roster because I believe they played. So what happened was, of course, guess who got picked up? Obviously to Fnatic. I forget the Orpa's name, but when I see it, I know it. Okay, like the guy just performed miracles. They picked the Orpa up. Oh, I can picture his name, but I always have this where I remember a player, but I don't have it. Afro, that's right. Afro. Okay, so basically Afro got picked up from Freddy Max, and that put Gravity into the roster because this roster's been together for a long time. Like 4 months ago was when Afro got picked up. This roster's been together for about 8 months. And they were always that middle in the pack team that just didn't get, they weren't great, but they were there, okay? And for them to win an event like this is like incredible because no one really thought they would win it because everyone's talking about your Eternal Fires, your Aurora, your Mongols, and everyone's like, Freddy Max probably go out early. Playoffs and that's it,
Yeah, I think Freddy Max, I mean, the 8 months is sort of a sweet spot, right? Because it's not a honeymoon period at that point. Like it's at this point, it's pretty serious. So, and I think they're another one of those European teams that play so many officials. Like they're in that many competitions at once. It's ridiculous. So I don't know what they got coming up next, but if they're able to qualify for a big event, that's when they'll sort of have that opportunity to really, because they can keep competing in these tier 2, tier 3 competitions. That's fine, but until they actually qualify for a Cologne or something that's actually big, a lot of these challenges sort of competitions can sort of.
They've actually been pretty good, actually, funnily enough. They beat Cloud9 in the Betboom Dart Show qualifiers. They're versing Bleed up next. They're playing some ESL Challenger against... they're playing ESL Challenger against Patera and Gun5 because they're also an ESL Challenger for Europe as well. And
sure.
I don't know what other events they've got coming up for them as well. They've got ESL Pro League coming up as well. The next ESL Pro League. They got in because they won the EU ESL Challenger. So...
so they're in... Okay. So they're actually... they are actually qualifying for these sort of events, which would be good. That's when they'll sort of see how they're really faring.
To be fair, I don't really rate ESL Challenger EU too much at times because a lot of there's just tier 2 teams. So that's where I've got to be a bit careful as well. But I'd say overall, like Freddy Max winning this is quite huge for their confidence, quite huge for their team as well. And it's good. Like I say, it's just gonna be a lot of relief for like Joko, Maka, and Lucky for really sticking at it because this team's gone for a lot. Like in particular, because like basically Maka in particular, I think he's been with Lucky a bit as well back on Heretics, and before that. And how Heretics ended up, if you didn't know, because EU leagues and ESA is just basically, if you're an advanced or main, it's basically ELO hell, where you have to, if you want to get to Prem, you have to be lucky enough to win those playoffs to get to the relegation, to get in there. It's really difficult because you're versing tier 2 teams all the way. And what happened in Heretics was that they tried to kick David P and Devo Dubik from the team. And David P realized that he had the slot with Devo Dubik. So what they did was they took the team and kicked the rest of the Heretics out, basically, because they owned the team. So Heretics had to start from
Yeah.
ground zero, and I think they just died in the end, in particular.
Yeah.
And they had to come back from that. They had 3D Max, and now 3D Max is doing incredibly well. And I think winning a tournament, especially against Mongols, is just a big statement thing from them in particular. And I think it's just a relief from like Maka and all that, from all the times where they could have gone to the major, because I think they could have got to the major, but they got eliminated by Game of Legion. Infamously enough, in their first major, Game of Legion's first major, they eliminated LDLC to eliminate them, I believe. Well, I'm thinking of the wrong team, but I'm not sure. But they eliminated Maka's team. And and they just finally got a tournament that they've won as just relief after years and years of just grinding out. They've won a big tournament against a big team.
Well, it's going to draw attention now. Like, obviously, it's probably one of those teams where a lot of the bigger teams would just sort of push aside and sort of play against, be confident in it. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Probably should watch some of their demos, see how they're doing it. But I mean, it's. I mean, if they go pro league, that's going to be a interesting event for them. So, good on them. And
also, you want to know what else? I'm very sure that 3D Max is in FlyQuest's group. I'm trying to find out the ESL Pro League group at the moment. I hope they're not, but I think they might be actually in ESL Pro League 20. Trying to figure out their group stages at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
so Pro League's in September, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, they're not in their group.
No, I think it's either Rooster or them that are in their group. It's one of the Aussie teams or the
No,
it's Mongols. That's right.
I think it's Mongols. That'll be a
interesting rematch.
Yeah. That Pro League, it's gonna be a good event.
Yeah, I felt like the last Pro League, like even though FlyQuest performed very well, it was a very weak Pro League.
The depth wasn't there. I feel like it was like your top teams, and then it fell off pretty quick. Like, obviously, again, you're gonna have a few teams. Like, I don't know who Wildcard has got on it. I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's an American team. They've got some good. They've got a good player called JBA. He's amazing.
Stan.
And they got Stanislaw stuff. That JBA is their star play. Is very, very good. I'd say overall, like ESL Pro League, when you compare it to IM Dallas, for example, I went into FlyQuest. You're not making anywhere because I can't see a route for you guys to make it. But with ESL Pro League, you could, because all of those teams they could beat, it's a 50-50. Like BetBoom, 50-50. Liquid, who they lost to, I felt like that was a 50-50. They could have won that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, I'm looking at Group C right now, and that looks pretty stacked. Like, that's Rooster being at the bottom of that one is, and Imperial being the second bottom seed is pretty crazy. Like,
I talked about this with. I'm trying to figure out who I talked about this with. I think maybe Flam. I'm not sure. And I'm just like, Rooster are fucked.
That's a tough group. Yeah. That is a tough group. Like Group D, you got Ents out of form, you got Ring Candid, Zunos, and Atox, and like even Falcons and Furia cannot show up on the day. So
Atox, I'm gonna say right now, is a very sleeper team. They are quite good. Like they did drag FlyQuest to all three maps as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're just living in the Mongol shadow. Like they're just sort of creeping around. So
let's talk about.
I hope they do well.
Let's talk about IM Cologne. We'll get this one out of the way because the play-ins are happening this week, and we'll give you guys a big update on the play-ins. Basically, it's Complexity, Alternate Attacks. That's an old org, by the way. Eternal Fire, Falcons, Heroic, MIBR, so they're playing each other. BetBoom v 9Z, Furo v Imperial, Pain v Liquid, the new look Liquid in particular. And you got FlyQuest v Big, another rematch, given that Big eliminated FlyQuest from IM Dallas. And then you got Mongols v Saw. And all I'm going to say is this. So FlyQuest, if they beat Big, and Mongols should beat Saw, because I think Saw was overachieving when they performed well, we're going to have an Asia RMR rematch, aren't we?
That's gonna be it's gonna be sick. I don't know. Obviously, they're boot camp. They've been boot camping for a little while now. FlyQuest. They've been over there for a good few weeks, even a month. So it'd be interesting to see what they're cooking up. But it's just hard with no like game time, like in officials and stuff. Like Mongols have been playing a lot. Which also means they're not able to cook up as much, but at least they're game ready. They're game hardened, I should say.
Yeah, they're not operating on what do they call it, ring rust. Yeah, ring rust.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So that's probably what they've got as an advantage. Like that, they've tried and tested, and I'm sure they've got plenty in the bank. But even the big game's going to be a tough sort of gig. Obviously, they're big. Are they playing? Are they eliminated out of Blast? They got VP. They got VP. Yeah, they got VP coming up tonight.
It's not elimination. They just go to groups. They go to a full showdown.
Of course, it's groups. I wasn't sure whether they were out yet or not, but yeah, I mean they've got some good. They probably getting. It's probably a good advantage for Big to be playing this sort of event now, coming into Pro League. But yeah, if FlyQuest are able to be big, I think there's always a chance, they can step up against Mongols. But I don't know. It's
what eight teams do you think are going to go through? I'm going to say Complexity should get through, even though they're playing fucking awful lately. Eternal Fire should get through. MIB and Heroic, I believe they should get through. Fury and Imperial, I'm not too sure on that. Fury did show some good signs. Betboom and 9Z, same thing as well. 9Z did show some signs at Dallas, but they just fell away in the stage. Liquid will definitely get through. Liquid were just fucking really good on the stage of Blast, and it looked really good.
You say that. You hope so. You really would.
Oh, no, that's something they looked very good at Blast. Like, very, very good at Blast.
They did. Yeah.
And then you got Mongols, they should get through. And then I'd say a mixture of FlyQuest or Big. There's a few teams that you think will get through, but then there's 8 spots at the end of the day. But there's actually a reality where say that FlyQuest can get through.
Yeah, I like Furia now, like with Skulls, and I for their sake, I hope they get through. Like I hope they don't lose to Imperial. But like, even your Bet Boom now, who have been sort of gutted. I don't know how they're going to go. Like, MIBR are in good form. Same, like Pain have been going well in this Brazilian competition they've been playing in. Like they've been showing up pretty heavily as well. So, who knows? Pain might be able to, pull something together. So, it's a weird sort of like American sort of period, like Fury, Imperial, Pain, and Liquid in the one sort of bracket. It's going to be interesting to see who pulls out of that one. But hopefully FlyQuest get through. I don't know.
Yep.
We'll see. It's but like Complexity should, like Eternal Fire, like even Falcons, like they're just so up and down. Like it's hard. Like with Dupree now, you'd hope they can. I think if they lose to Eternal Fire, it won't be too big of a deal. I think they'd play the loser of. I think you'd say
they'll play Ultimate Attacks. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd say overall for my picks, I'd say Complexity, Eternal Fire, Heroic, MIBR. Heroic will make it, or MIBR will make it in a lower bracket. Then I'll probably say Furia, Liquid, and then either a mixture between FlyQuest or Big and Mongols.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's pretty safe. I think.
Yeah, it's pretty safe, but there's so many 50-50 games though. Like it's going to come. Not the opening round. The opening round is a lot of one way or the other. But it's going to come probably to lower round 1 and also to upper quarterfinals, where there's going to be a lot of 50-50 games.
Yeah. There's a lot of Brazilian teams in here.
Yeah, there is like
a lot of Brazilian presence. Yeah, no, I think so. It's definitely 8 to get through. Yeah, so they'll. I mean, for whoever makes it through, it's going to be a tough sort of run going into that. Like all those teams in the already in the event are in pretty good form. So, it's going to be tough either way for those teams to get through.
Like, what one team in particular you would pick? They could like have a fight at the big stage. All I'm going to say is Liquid. I don't think
from the play-in.
Yeah, from the play-in. I think it's either Liquid or Complexity. I don't think any of the other teams are going to make a really big dent on the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think Eternal Fire. Yeah, I don't think Complexity have sort of let everyone down too many times, and so Liquid's probably the one that can really show up. Obviously, is it too early with the changes? I don't know. Like, I think everyone knows that it can work and it should work, but look, and who knows? The Mongols might do some sort of dream run again. Who knows? But it sort of depends on who you play. If you'd want to be qualifying early, and getting I don't know how the seeding works in the actual event, but
don't worry about it. Like, just let the seeding happen as it is. We'll just talk about the play-in.
Yeah,
because you don't know what you're going to get. So it's not like
who knows?
It's not like the Esports World Cup where you know that the top seeded team is going to get the team that wins the play-in, and all the other matches are decided. Yep. Yeah,
it's all random. But, I think I'd say Liquid and Mongols are my two ones that actually can make damage, like do some damage. I think Complexity will get there, but I don't think they'll do much. To be honest.
Anyways, we'll get off that topic. We'll get up to a funnier topic, okay? Because this one is quite good, okay? So basically, if you don't know, the NA ECL, NA things again, NA things, you've got the racism, you got the harassment, and you've got the funniest ways to get banned.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know,
crazy.
let's put it this way. So the Dust 2, I can't pronounce his fucking name to save my life, okay? You know, he's got M and M triple Z, okay? Like, one day this guy's gonna be like, I talk to him a lot. He's awesome. I forget his name. I think it's for some reason I think it's John, but I'm not sure. But I probably got to know. I don't know his name off the top of my head. But he's really, really awesome. Okay, like I've talked to him a lot about like journalism and stuff like that, and like what's going on. Jeff, that's right. Okay. So I just call him Jeff instead because, you know, trying to pronounce his name is like, you know, pulling teeth, okay? I don't want to get it wrong. But anyways, he reported that Shutout, one of the Perseverance players and Perseverance teams, sent a fake text message to Ossodank, the admin, that there was a weather, you know, event at his place so electricity could go out at any moment. And he sent a text message about having, hope you have a good customer experience or something like that. And that's how they get it rescheduled. They're trying to reschedule their game against Mythic. And they kicked the player during that time, so they didn't have the 5 players. So they made this elaborate scam to try and get out of it. And then they got found out, and now they're banned for two months, okay?
Yeah.
And the funny part about it is that the text message that they show, because there's obviously Discord, I'll post the article in Twitch chat so you guys can read through it in particular. But they show like a fake weather scan. There's a big storm over the area, and also a text message that says experience, but experience spelled incorrectly. And it's so bad. Like I just can't believe it. And also to mention as well, the weather data around the area show no storms happening at all. And it's just like,
you got to think of something better than that. Like if it's actually raining in your area, you can use that as an excuse. But if it's not, then Jesus Christ.
It's just like a lot of people are saying like just forfeit the match and just like that's it. Like we're forfeiting in ECL. Like it's 3 forfeits and you're a dead team. Like 1 forfeit's fine. Yeah. So you take. Well, they've
all got 2 months ban now, haven't they?
Yeah, 2 month ban from ESL, so that's the season gone. And also not to mention as well, like they're back to the start again. Like I just don't get it. But I gotta say, some of these tech issues in particular, okay, like this has brought up this conversation, the funniest tech issues that you've had as a player or even seen as a team or heard as a team. We've had have the ones like, the Asia League in particular where the Triads shut down the power or something like that. One in particular that just I get reminded of constantly is a player called Relix in North America. He played for E United. You guys may know him. Obviously,
Skylar.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Relix was Skylar backwards. So this is how bad I am. Okay. So Skylar, he was in a clutch in I think it was Mount Dooley back in the day, and he stopped moving. Like he peeked out the fire and he stopped moving, and he's like not responsive. So it turns out that they had a tech. They didn't tech pause, but he ran out of mousepad. Like he had a small mouse pad, and that's what, just ran out of it. He went onto the wooden desk, and it doesn't work well on a wooden desk, and that's what happened. The second one is when a tech pause occurred. So Dazzle and his teammates, they're like, okay, your entire desk is going to have a gamepad. You get the gamepad material and stuff like that. So he has that syndrome where he just moves his mouse further and further away. It doesn't matter, could be playing on the walls at some stage, and he looks like, it's just, oh boy. So what happened was that in one of the clutch, it happened again. 1v1 clutch, he stopped moving. And what happened this time, they called tech pause. He ran out of desk, okay? His mouse fell off the desk mid-clutch. And they had to replace his mouse for 10 minutes.
Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. That sort of shit happens though all the time. Like we had, obviously now with everything being wireless, like you got mouse headsets running. My headset dies all the time, and it's an absolute disaster. I've had an issue at the moment, at least text. I get like random things, like my cursor comes up mid-game. Like I was streaming the other day, and I was holding an angle, like I was in Annex on Nuke holding the secret cross, and someone just crosses on my screen. I go to shoot, and then my cursor just comes up like in the middle of my screen. I can't even shoot him. Like this sort of shit. Like CS2, I swear it's so broken still. Like between that and all the I won't talk about all the clipping issues, but people come up with all sort of excuses for the old take falls or the delays. Like you got people coming.
What's your funniest one, Script? Tell me your funniest one.
I don't know if I have a funniest one. We had on my last team, Havoc always had his dad storming in, or like you're always talking to his mum. Like this is like mid officials. Like she just like storm in, and it's always, I don't even know if it's mum or dad. Like it's always something random. But a lot of it is like a whole lot of rescheduling, right?
Yeah.
You get like not so much tech issues, but the whole rescheduling. You have teams that like pretend like, going back to that perseverance thing, it's like a lot of people making up a whole lot of bullshit of like why they can't reschedule or whatever. You know, you have people that say they're like at work, you know, but they're, you know, you see them hugging at the same time. You sort of don't realize that you can actually see what they're doing. So it's not that much of a,
I remember the
you can't hide too much.
On, I think it was NACA, where like their team profile was like, we always follow the rules. We will not reschedule. We'll play at default time. If not, we'll force you to play. And they actually, you know, this is the funny part. They got 6 forfeit wins off it, where teams were only having like 4 people in it because they deliberately started the game and like, oh, we only have 3 players, therefore forfeit win. Yeah.
No, it's just so dumb. Like we had I can't remember what the team was, where we couldn't do earlier because, you know, someone had to come home from work, which is fine. But then they couldn't do half an hour later because someone had a bedtime. Like, what? So you tell me every night you play for an hour and then have to go to bed because you've got work in the morning. It's like, it's so clear that people are just being fucking pricks about it. But
and also as well, you got teams like Rooster where they have Netic and they have ASAP in the same roster. They have WA in New Zealand, but they can find 2 hours.
Yep, no, exactly right. No, people have these people come up with all sorts of excuses, but it's always, you know, I got to drop someone off at the airport or something like that. There's always some sort of reason you have to delay, but it's hard. Like a lot of these scheduling, especially because they're all best of ones at the moment in Open, so it's pretty easy to sort of, you know,
get your 30 minutes or 45 minutes in.
Correct. Especially with the whole 13 round thing, but back when it was, you know, even when Open, you know, well, it was even whatever it was before ESEA Open. Like a lot of them were like best of 3. Main, that's right. Yeah. When they went to best of 3s quickly, like it was then the scheduling became a bit of an issue because obviously everything, all the games were still casted and streamed and stuff. So it was a bit harder back then to sort of organise it. But now with the new ESEA thing, you know, you can delay your game for 2 weeks if you wanted to. Like it's
as long as it gets played before season ends.
Correct. Yeah. So, and you have a lot of teams that I think Mantra a couple of seasons ago, like I think we'd all played 8 games and they had played like 2 or 3 games, and so they just had to bank up, which is what you can do apparently. Like, realistically, you can pick up a player and just as long as the other team are okay with it, just delay your game for weeks and then get some prac in. Obviously, if you're the team you're playing against them, you don't want to do that because you want the least amount of prac time with them. Yeah. Especially if you're going up against them, but it's pretty it goes pretty quick though. Like two best of ones a week in Open. It feels like the season just started and we're already 6 games in. So, in a matter of no time it'll be the ECL quals. So,
that ECL quals happened probably a bit later because there's 2 seasons of Open than ECL quals.
Correct.
ECL goes for a bit of season. But one tech quals in particularly, which was ironic, was when NA. This was submitted by CS Unfortunate, which I posted in chat as well. Where the poor guy had someone crash into his house mid-game and they had to... And I'm not sure if this was... They put in a ringer or a tech pause. I couldn't find anything else to do it. But I'm just sitting there going, like... I'm thinking about the other stuff as well. This one was just chaotic. Like, the funny part was the guy never talks in that game. Like, you hear it in the recording of it as well. The guy never yells. The guy never talks and stuff like that. And you can see the pictures of like his house, like it was mid-game. I've seen some ceiling collapses. I remember AGO also had to forfeit a match because their offices, their land center got flooded, and they took pictures of the flooding and whatnot, and they had to take a forfeit. And I'm like, why didn't you guys ask for a reschedule? Like,
it's like, I mean, you can imagine what the other team are thinking when they hear that. So, like a car came through his house. Like, I don't know how you meant to react to that. I guess you just got to believe them. But it's. I mean, I guess it's better than just my Ethernet broke or whatever. But I mean, surely they got a sub in for that, right? Surely they ought to be able to get a sub in for that. I think it's a pretty decent emergency, a pretty good reason to be able to get an emergency sub. But
I'm not sure if they did in the end. I'm not sure if they
did. They might not have.
Yeah. I've had some other funny ones as well. Was trying to think, it was an Asia game like cast. It was close qualities. I think it was between like Rat and another Asia team, and their land center lost power for like an hour and a bit. Where me and one of the J and Z boys, like production stuff like that, we did a full-on tour around nuke, and I did like a physics unit and stuff like that. So I was explaining how a nuclear power plant works, why did they need water, and like all the parts of like the nuclear power plant, like the control rod, the obviously the neutrons hitting the thing, so nuclear fission. And we would like talk absolute waffling crap, and Wix was like, my co-cast was like, dude, you know a lot about nuclear physics. So I'm like, yep, I learned stuff in physics, okay?
Oh, it's pretty good excuse to do it. No, fuck the I have no idea.
And there's also all those like little gimmicks in like the whiteboards and stuff like that as well in Nuke. And we spent an hour until that power came back online. It was the most randomest tech pause I've ever had. I don't even know the reason for it at all, but it's just so dumb. I know.
Did they have? Is there actual like proper physics stuff on Nuke somewhere? Like, is there on the whiteboards and stuff? Like,
oh no, not proper nuke stuff. It's just I know.
I was gonna say on the map. I wasn't sure whether it was. They actually had some physics shit.
You can see the control rods under the water in Nuke in particular.
Yeah.
And I explained like why they need how nuclear power works, which is basically they just boil water and just put it. They split the fission to boil water. And
I saw the show. The what's the one? What was the one? The Chernobyl. Yeah, I watched that show. That was intense. So I'm sure you were all over that.
Yeah, so basically Chernobyl, of course, what they did was they took the control rods out because the control rods were meant to stop nuclear fission. And they realized it's getting out of control, so they put the control rods back in, which made it worse because if fission's occurring to an extreme state, it's just going to make it worse and it's going to blow up. Because like the control rods are just there to make sure the fission stops, because the fission chain can continue infinitely with uranium, because uranium's a very heavy element. And it can just it can be contained forever, because uranium, I think, weighs like 232 or something like that. And it goes to plutonium. So that's why they can't, that's why people have issues recycling, because it turns to weapons grade plutonium after you process it once. Mm-hmm. And then it turns into like less stuff afterwards. And you can actually recycle that plutonium to put it back into the plant and do it again. And you eventually get to a point where it's like you got some radioactive things like cobalt or something like that.
Okay.
It's like it's kind of crazy like how it works. Like they just fire a neutron into the atom that makes it unstable, and then it fires out more atoms because it's unstable, and it's like a chain reaction.
Yeah, it's scary stuff though.
Yeah, pretty much. I explained like the entirety thing of what everything's used for, what they do with the water. Like there's boiling. They basically boil the water with that reaction and the energy it creates, and that's how nuclear power works. And I was teaching. So
you must love playing Nuke then.
No, I don't play Nuke. I don't play too much CS2, but I know all the stuff in there. Like why are they bombing specific areas? Obviously, the silos is one thing in particular. Why they're bombing that, and also why they're bombing the control rods as well, because those are like huge incidents and stuff like that. Because I think B sites where all the control rods are, and obviously A is where the silos are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the control rods are in the water, so the water, like they put the control rods in there. So not in there, but around that.
I haven't had a good look at it, so that probably makes sense.
If you ever want to look at Nuke, look up in ramp room, and you can see like a lot of the shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Have
a look around next time I'm there.
Anyone in chat got some crazy reasons for like any tech pauses or any like rescheduling in particular? I mean, we had the worst one where nothing could get rescheduled with Mouse during COVID, where Mouse had to play 4 BO3s back to back.
Yeah, I remember that happening. Yeah. Like, that's just, oh my God. I don't know how many maps they actually played.
I think they played all 12 in the end. They won all.
Oh, of course. Of course they did.
That'd
be absolute hell.
Won the BO3s, that is. But, yeah, so that was the interesting one.
That's MR15 as well.
Yeah, and also not to mention as well, the good thing about it was all the other teams just rescheduled around them. Like, they had 2 events clashing, and it's like, oh, we'll just play later. It was actually really, really good. But overall, like, I've gone through all my tech ones, like all my tech pauses that I've been through, it's been absolutely crazy. We had I think it was like the triads or something like that. Apparently, this is rumored. I'm not sure if it's even confirmed. Apparently, they turned off the power of like an Asian team's LAN or something like that. And
shit. Okay. That conspiracy shit.
Yeah, that happened for 45 minutes accordingly. I don't know. I gotta say overall, you could probably go to NA and like ask anyone in North America and be like, what's the funniest reasons for a tech issue? And they can probably bore you out about 100 of them.
Yeah, no, I could imagine. Yeah, no. But, bro's right in chat. Yeah. I'll just look up when I'm playing Ram next time. I won't actually focus on trophy. I'll just be looking up and looking around. So,
actually, I do remember one time in particular where like one team was calling a tech pause one stop, and just I think it was Morals and Spellin, and Morals just went off at Spellin for calling non-stop tech pauses and stuff like that. And this is the reason why I turn off chat in my games, because obviously it was Twitch TLS.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
that'll do it.
Yeah, and I was like, no, chat's never coming back on again. Basically, Morals just went, he just went shit-face, Scarface on him, just went, fucking a lot of expletives, let's just put it that way, okay?
Oh, yeah. No, I could imagine. Jesus. No,
yes.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other,
Yep.
I don't even know.
You know what?
There's probably been some in the past.
We'll give it to YouTube, okay? So YouTube comments, if you guys know any good and funny reasons why your team or other teams had to reschedule, or teams have had a tech pause or whatnot,
yeah,
put them into comments, okay? You guys got to have one. And if I took all of yours, well, get better ones, okay?
Yeah, please. Yeah, there's got to be something better.
Yep. Next up, which is going to be the interesting one, okay? So we got two teams. Obviously, we had some good news. Is that Mongo's in the top 10? Well, you know how you say you're in the top 15 and you're 15th? I feel this is a bit of this one for the Mongols. We're in the top 10, but we're 10th.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing with FlyQuest. They're in the top 20, but they're 20th.
Yeah.
Now, let's start with the Mongols, okay? Do you think Mongols are a top 20 team, a top 10 team, not top 20, top 10 team? Like, you think Mongols, they're top 10. You pick it over it is. I'll give you a bit of a preview and taste. The teams above them is Na'Vi, Spirit, Mouse, Vitality, G2, FaZe, VP, Astralis, Heroic. And then below them is Complexity, 9Z, Falcons, Liquid, Furia, Eternal Fire, Nip, Aurora, 3D Max, and FlyQuest.
It feels like, I don't know, I feel like where they are at the moment, like it makes sense though. Like I don't think they're better than Astralis and Heroic, but I think they're better than Complexity and 9Z. Like it makes sense why they're 10th. Yeah. But I don't know in terms of whether they can stay there. Like I think at the moment they probably do deserve it. Like the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm. I say other than ASL Challenger, they've been consistently top. They've won tournaments. They've come second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you finish your stuff first, and then I'll go into my thing.
Yeah, once Liquid sort out their thing, I think they can shoot back up in there. But like even Nip, like they've got some good sort of prospects in there. Like Rez has been playing okay, and obviously Wrinkle's pretty sharp. But there's not many teams that you can see actually getting to the top 10. Like really, like below them. Like I think it makes sense.
I 100% agree with you. Like, I only can see Liquid as being that only team that could go above them. But at the same time, I reckon Mongols can beat your Heroic and your Astralis as well. I reckon they can beat Heroic and Astralis. And then, like, I reckon they're on the lower end, if anything, of their top 10. They should be in the top 10. They should be probably 9 for 8. I reckon they can beat Astralis. They can beat Heroic. You said in particular as well with Nip. I don't think Nip's there yet. They've got Wrinkle. I feel like they really should have grabbed Captain Kirker as well, which is his IGL from Bait. Because Captain Kurt is very good as well. Like, he's a very clutch IGL. But Wrinkle was always a good pick by Nip. I can't believe Nip got Wrinkle, okay? When Cloud9 didn't have an AWPer, and they couldn't pick up Wrinkle. And I'm like, bro, watching him on Nip where he's like absolutely giving them games, being that win condition, and just like, you serious, Cloud9? You couldn't just pick up Wrinkle and put him in? Like, it infuriates me and confuses me to this day that Nip got Wrinkle over so many other teams that needed an AWP, you know?
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't know. Like, I think Nip's, I mean, I don't know how Max is going to go, but Isaac with his, whole run at Gamer Legion and, he can definitely play at the level. So I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I think you're right. They're not there yet. So, a bit of time.
No, as I said with, with Nip in particular, with Mongols, I think they're there. I think they could be 8 and up.
Eighth
and up very easily. Yeah. They're definitely not outside the top 10. I think overall they're kind of in the same tier of VP where they're outside looking in to be becoming one of those top teams. And those top 6 teams are all like tied at the hip.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yep, and also the teams below them, other than Liquid, there's no other team that could really top them. And I feel like that event at ESL Challenger, given the fact they placed second, they won Yala, they won Misa. It's just like that tournament at ESL Challenger Yoshiping was just an aberration. And also, it was against some good teams as well. And,
Oh, well, I mean, they can't be performing much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're consistently top, so it makes sense.
Yep, and also, as well, they've been being some good teams. And they've been really taking it up to even some of the top teams as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think they're now sort of set their sort of stay. Like, it was always back when it was even all the Asian major qualifiers, they were always there and abouts. And the last couple of majors, they've really been that team to beat in the Asian qualifiers. So and now they're really stepping up to being that team that can beat those international rosters. So they've had a really good trajectory. Yeah.
And also, it's the craziest part is like this is not really one of the best rosters they've had. They had Score on their roster at one stage, okay? Yeah. And they had Annihilation on their roster at one stage. And you're sitting there being like, they've got 3 young players, Senzu obviously from NKT and Xenio 910 they've picked up. And you're sitting there being like, how can they achieve this in top 10 with that team, but couldn't achieve top 10 with their other team with Score and Annihilation on it? It's just like, I just feel like their composure has increased immensely on that roster, where they're not choking out clutch games. I remember when they choked to Astralis, and I've never felt so much frustration in my life watching having Astralis to the torch, to the sword. They're up like 11-3 and they lose. And I'm like, how? You've literally got Astralis nailed to the wall, just,
Yeah. I
just don't understand how this team has better composure than the other team, which has better mechanical prowess. You can probably talk me through, pressure and whatnot, and how that works.
Well, they just seem ice cold, don't they? It just feels like nothing gets to them. Teams break down. They just consistently like you watch some of their demos and they do some weird shit. Like some of the way they play is so against the grain sometimes. I remember watching their Anubis a couple of times, and they do some wacky shit. But it's stuff that a lot of these European teams don't know. But now they're sort of adapting to the European style, where they'll start consistently beating European teams instead of just beating them because they're catching them off guard. So. Now it's it's good for them that they're actually staying up there now that teams are actually taking notice of them and are properly looking into their game style. So I mean it's like the whole pressure situation the situation just doesn't seem to you see complexity just completely breaking down when it comes to those close games. Everyone's smashing their desks and stuff, but they're just fucking just locked in. They are dialed in. They're that meme.
Just got to lock in and just all the pictures just have the eyes, switch focus and stuff like that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now let's go on to FlyQuest. So FlyQuest got top 20 recently as well. And I'm gonna go first. Okay, I don't think FlyQuest is a concrete top 20 team yet. My opinion of that is because between 15 and 25, I believe it or not even 25, even a bit below that as well. I feel like the 15 to about I'll say 28 because it's got Sashi in there as well. It could go really either way. Why I don't think FlyQuest is a concrete team in there yet is that the teams below them in particular, I could say Fnatic, MRBR, and Big and M80 could beat them, especially if Lake in that roster as well, and he's just fitted in like a glove. And obviously FlyQuest can go back down, but FlyQuest can't really go back up either because they've got to, I gotta say right now, if I feel like if they want to be concrete in that top 20, they need to beat a 3D Max. They need to beat an Aurora. They've beat a NiP before, so you could probably say NiP's a bit elevated as well. They need to beat an Eternal Fire. They need to beat a Fury and a BO3. We'll put that BO1 to the side because that's bullshit. I don't like that format. If I had a BO1, I'm just like, fuck off. I feel like FlyQuest, they're close, but they're not there yet. There's a lot more teams below them that could beat them than the teams that are above that they could beat. I'm going to say Cologne's going to be one of those big events. If they qualify, I'll probably say they probably be cemented top 20. If they don't qualify, then that's in question again until ESL Pro League.
Yeah. That's a brother.
How you going, man?
Good, mate. I think it's if you look at it, if you look at the rankings,
does he want to answer any questions? Does he have an opinion on FlyQuest being the top 20?
He would have no idea, mate. He would have no idea. If you look at the rankings, it's a lot of teams that are elevated, like in NiPs. It's solely based off the reason that they've been playing these events that gets their scores up. So obviously with the esports World Cup and Dallas and whatever, that didn't go so well for them. And obviously, they don't drop off too much from it, but they don't play enough to actually lose their ranking too much. So it's going to be interesting to see when the actual Cologne comes up because even like 9Z and that, you don't really see them being a 12th rated team in the world. So
actually, I forgot that you should mention that as well. NiP and 9Z probably teams that could fall down. But there's too many teams below them that could come up. Continue, sir.
Correct. Yeah, no. I mean, it's just Cologne, and then I think once Pro League's always that event where you have all those teams in the top, 30 to 40 that are playing, and so you really get to see who are the top, 20 and 10 in the world. So it's sort of a weird time at the moment where you got so many events that people are taking points from, sort of, it just depends on how much the teams play. So it's sort of a big unknown. Obviously, the Fury game was rough. Like you see them losing two at a phase that happens, and they're doing well enough, when they are over here. But it's so hard to tell. But even that whole Dallas event, it was a bit of a disaster for them.
I'd say overall, like they lost to Big. I don't care, to be honest. I'm just like saying, it's 50-50 game against Big. You win, you lose. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I didn't like, even if you got past Big, I think they're versing VP next or something like that. It's like, you're going out.
Yeah.
Like, James gonna take you home.
It's Yeah. Whereas like you see your pro leagues where they're able to have those chances to really sort of settle into their game and take, they always seem to take maps off teams, and I think it was their most successful run last time. So I mean, you hope that they do well. And with their group, I think there's a chance, they can do damage again. But yeah,
what do you think
top 20?
What do you think is the biggest weakness in particular of FlyQuest? Like biggest thing if they get this right, they're definitely top 20.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because it's so much upside with Dexter joining them. Like it's
definitely.
Like they've got all the pieces there. So I think it's more of an internal thing, to be honest. Like it's something that we may not see as an outside sort of, when you scrim them, you do, like, you sort of see this game style, but I think it's just a base. Like they're all experienced. Obviously, Deck, and he's obviously the newest one, but he's obviously proven himself in games. He sort of, when he started, like everyone knew over here that he was sharp enough, and he was,
just for people at home as well.
Yeah,
Deck is Vexite.
Sorry, yes. So yeah, Vexite and Inns are like the two best riflers in Australia, and everyone knows that over here. So, and he had a lot of rep going over there when he first joined, and it was sort of a bit iffy, but he started to play really well, and obviously now with Dexter joining them, it's I think it's just a matter of time. Like I said, I think the main issues for them would probably just be internal sort of things. I think the pressure doesn't get to them. They're obviously hype as fuck when things are going their way. So yeah, it's something that I think we can comment on, but it's sort of hard to pinpoint.
I always go to the composure and the closing out games. They can't close out games. It's really disappointing and frustrating. They just need to have that person who shuts the door and is like, fuck off, we win 13-2.
Yeah, and that's that whole mindset thing. I think a couple of those results before Dexter, it was almost a joke, like how much they would do that. But you sort of see some results where they do, 100%. And for our sakes over here, they hope they do well again. And obviously that major run where they secured another spot for us and Oceania. So with the Mongols as well doing well. So look, I think it's all upside. I think they've obviously been prepping a lot for Cologne. So if they're able to get through the play-ins, I think it'll be a big sort of step forward for them. Because after that, it gets pretty tough.
Yeah, as I said, like if they get through play-ins to Cologne, top 20. If they don't, we look at ESL Pro League. Like overall, like I say, as I feel as well, it's just their composure, especially during those late rounds. To be fair, it's just one of those things in particular. You said it before as well during the interview, where it's like the more you experience, especially against top tier teams, the easier it becomes. And like they're versing like teams that will make mistakes, in AU, versus teams that will not make those same mistakes. Yep. And they'll get punished for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it happens. Like it's obviously differs on different, like depending on what level you're at, you're always going to have that. Like it may not be at the same level as FlyQuest, but like even your teams in Open, like it always happens where you got to get over that hurdle of playing against the top teams and having that pressure on you. So yeah, and I agree it all connects.
And I agree as well. They've got a lot better of Dexter in that team. They've got some composure, they've got some action, they've got some direction. They're not having Ints trying to IGL be the star player, which can be a bit of an issue. Like I could say, Ints can probably play any role in a team because he's like that set on it as well. Like you could probably put him in a support role where your support player's got to try and clutch out with nothing, and he clutches out with nothing sometimes as well. Do that Sanji role. He can become the James Ortbearer. Ince is probably going to kick my ass for saying that comment. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I think obviously I think Ali's playing a lot better because he's obviously does well over here, and then when he goes over to Europe, it's a question of consistency in that. But I think he's definitely there.
He plays very well. Ali's like, I guess overall, Ali's like trying to be aggressive but also passive to flashes and smokes and whatnot. He's very good with his utility. Dexter's teams in particular don't really favor a lot of passive Orpus from what I've seen, like with A-Core and Mouse in particular. But with aggressive Orpus like Torsey, it favors it because Dexter, this is my opinion and whatever it is, Dexter's very favorable in rifle-oriented teams, which FlyQuest is, but he's got Instant, Vexite. So Ali's going to play this passive role where he's throwing good flashes and stuff like that, and he's throwing some absolute, balls of flashes where they get in, they get 2 kills, back out, fuck off, they've got the round. And and then like his stats show pretty poorly. Let's say, for example, in that round, but it's like, mate, he set up Vexite for 2 kills, set up Dexter for 2 kills and stuff like that. It's like you can't underestimate that at all. And also he's got map control as well. And there's games that he does play well and does the same thing as well, but the rifles are just overwhelmed. And that happens.
Yep.
So, some people...
No, absolutely.
There's obviously some unfairness to Alistair, particularly like a lot of people saying replace him. And I'm like, yeah, replace him with who in AU? And also, Nork's gone now as well. And it's like...
Yeah.
I don't think replacing Alistair is going to be the magical fix that everyone thinks it is, in particular.
Yeah, it's just too much of a risk.
Yeah.
Like, unless you've got, someone from Europe that's set up to go over there, like it's like Ali's, he's just the best. He is the best Orphan in Australia, right? And until someone starts really just like, with your Pains and Shells and all those guys, like there and abouts, but like it's just too much of a risk to give them a go with, how well, like he's not doing bad enough to think you need to swap him because, like you said, like who are you going to switch him with? Like you can't. You can't make that change. You just can't.
And also as well, like even if he doesn't have the stats to build it up, there's stuff off the things that he does, like flashes, gets map control for his team, which puts him in a better situation and stuff like that as well. Because I was noticing that as well, where like, I was like, Ali, like the biggest issue of Ali sometimes as well is the pressure when he doesn't get the shot that he needs to get as an AWPer. Like, the critical shot to like draw that line in the sand. That's the only issue. But like, it happens at times as well, even to the best AWPers in particular. Like some of the AWPers aren't consistent like that in particular.
Yeah.
But overall, like, flashes and stuff he sets up, he does make up for in particular. I don't want to, I want to get off the Ali topic in particular, but I know a lot of people like rag on him often. I'm just going to say, I think it's kind of like G2 where he's just getting judged so harshly for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, it seems like that. Like, I know a lot of people in Australia have their opinions. But the whole Europe, obviously everyone in Europe loves him because they see him with the clips of him yelling and screaming and that sort of thing, and obviously having the meme moments. But in terms of ability, like it's you're not good, like we said, like you're not getting it from Australia at the moment. And I think everyone's saying, do like what Renegades did with getting Jacob and that in, like, or, you're nifty or whatever, like just get someone, external in. But it just depends on how they're going. I think he's doing well enough to be able to, keep his spot. No, I think, the results, when was the last time you saw them up in the rankings like they are at the moment? And, they're staying up there. So, yeah. We'll see in the next couple of months, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to Cologne in particular. I want them to do well. I love it when Ince and Vexite are about as well, and I love it when they get really deep into tournaments in particular. And lastly, before we end the show in particular, I really hate the comparisons to like Prime Renegades, how they build up Renegades in particularly to be like this top tier like team in Australia that was like beating everyone. But Renegades, like I said, other than the Berlin Major, they were kind of in a similar spot to FlyQuest, Like I didn't think.
I think everyone looks at the Berlin Major, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Like I think they're just focusing on like the Berlin Major, but Renegades in particular, like I feel like I'm gonna get flack for this either way. But I didn't think they were like a great, well-beating team as people put them out to be, other than the Berlin Major. Like I didn't think they were that up there. I feel like FlyQuest are actually a lot closer to the level. As soon as they get the composure right and flip a few results, like instead of losing to FaZe 13-11, they win 13-11. Yeah. And when they start flipping results in the composure games like that, you'll be like, oh shit, FlyQuest can beat anyone. That's what I think it is. Like they flip those close results around and suddenly everyone will think they can beat everyone.
Yeah, it's like I think it's more of a consistency thing. Like I didn't really know too much back then, but like, was it more of a miracle run in Berlin? Like, was it more of a out of the blue, like a Cloud9 at Boston Major? Like, was it one of those runs where it's like no one expected it?
Yeah, because JKS played extremely well. Like JKS was just hard carrying that team as well as as well as performing well. Like everyone was just performing at such a good level, and they just peaked at the right time in particular.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? Like that's the difference between your FlyQuest now, who are seen to be more like it's the consistency. That's the thing. So,
and the thing is, like overall with FlyQuest, a lot of people be like, oh, they lose games. I look at it as a cup half full, even though I'd like be critical and down at times. They have opportunities to win the games. Okay, that's the most important part. If you put yourself in an opportunity to win the game, you've done over half the work. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you lose that game. You could have won it. And next time you could go up there and you win it. Like, look at fucking Australis, like the era team. How many semi-finals did they lose to NIP before they went on to that era run? Fucking tons.
Yeah.
And it's just,
absolutely.
It's just, that's the encouragement of FlyQuest. If you guys put yourself in a position to win, you guys doing half the work, just get a little bit over and you're top 20 confirmed. And I'll have no caveats on it. I'll be like, yep, you guys are a great team and I love you guys, okay? What are your final thoughts on that?
I think it can definitely happen. Like I say, it's just all the result. Like Cologne, it just depends on a few things. Like people just think they're frauds if they bomb out at Cologne, and which is what they'd know that. They had their run at Pro League, which sort of got them back into that thing. Like, all right, Dexter's here now. Like this is the game style. This is going to take them far. So yeah, it's so. Result dependent because no one knows how the scrims, no one knows how they practice. It's all on results. So, it's just going to be a matter of time now in terms of to see how they go. Eventually leading up to the major because obviously they won't make any changes up until then. So, who knows really? But yeah, they got some really good like events now to really prove themselves and see the work I guess that they've been doing. So
last thing in particular as well. When they lost to Liquid. It was 13-10, 16-14, 13-10 in the favour of Liquid. Like they are quite close, as I said before.
They're not getting. Obviously they had a couple of results recently, but like those games that they were losing was they were showing good form.
Yeah. So anyways, guys. So obviously, Script. Anything you want to say to your fans, and then we'll advertise your socials, mate.
The fans. No, just thanks for having me, mate. No,
you got a lot of fans, both in the cricketing world and everywhere else. Don't be shy.
Look, you just want to be welcomed in the community. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't want to be an arsehole to people. You know what I mean? That's the main goal. I think everyone has that sort of thing. So, I think thanks for having me on. Obviously, you've been doing a fair bit, so it's good to see. But we're moving forward. Just hopefully see us do well and open and go from there. But no, it's good times here, man. Cricket season's about to start.
Just say you'll be in ECL in January, okay? Be like the cocky back. Yeah, we'll be in ECL in January. We'll beat everyone.
Yeah.
Art of War have no chance, mate.
Hey, look, I'm not going to say anything because knowing my run with Underground, we'll probably finish second again. Dead weight. Yeah. Sad times.
Anyways, guys, if you guys want to follow Script on Twitter, you can follow him at ScriptCS with the 1 instead of the I. And you can also follow him on Twitch at Script with also the 1_AU. And hope you guys had a lovely time tonight. This will be on YouTube as well for the guys watching on Twitch. If you guys are on YouTube, subscribe and like if you want more of this content. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good one, guys. Bye.